Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all panelists. My name is Mohamad Asmaan Syaheer, and I am from the Bachelor of Computer Science, Computer Network Security. I am here to present on the project Sarjana Muda 1. The topic of my project is One-Stop Household and Home Utilities Maintenance Services System. My supervisor is Professor Dr. Shukur bin Abdul Razak, and I will proceed with my presentation. So the first is the introduction. The problem background for my project is that homeowner, there are two types of problem with homeowner. The household items and appliances, as usual in our home, they require maintenance and repairs, and most of them requires experts, and it is not easy to do. So homeowner, they could learn to fix and maintain their own household item and appliances, but some of them do not have the time. And then there are some homeowner that wants to fix the household item but does not know how to find a specific worker or any service provider for that particular problem. And right now the existing system does not cover some of the existing system that does not cover their home area. And then moving on to the professional service worker problem, the service providers, they are unable to reach out to people to promote their services. They, like, usually before all of the internet and smartphones, they only use posters and use small flyers, and hoping that the people they know help to share the information that they have services to offer. And this service provider, they're unable to utilize their expertise and unable to help their career to grow. And their business would obviously be slow. They're also on the existing system, they are unable to work as a standalone vendor. They have to work on the company of the system. And then the next is the project aim for my project, which is to develop an efficient and cheap service provider and delivery system specifically for household items and appliances repair work and service for homeowner and professional service provider to use the system so that the homeowners can find service providers for their household items and appliances problems. And then the professional service provider would be able to promote their business and find potential clients for the services they offer. And the next is the project objective, where I will be conducting the research on the existing systems that is already available in the market, conducting a research on the user requirement for my Service2U proposed project, developing the Service2U system and application based on the user requirements, testing the developed Service2U system and application to ensure the quality of the system. Service2U system, and then this is the project scope. The first one is the Service2U system and application will be developed limited to the area of Kota Kinabalu, city in Sabah, as a pilot study area. The services included in the Service2U systems are limited to the household items and appliances services. Service2U system will be available on both Android and iOS devices. Service2U mobile application will be used by both registered homeowners users and the professional service provider users. The Service2U web portal will be developed for this system and will be limited to the system administrator only. And the next is the current system analysis, where in the current system analysis, I have found two existing system, which is Service Hero and Kaudim in Malaysia. Both are developed by Malaysians. And the problem with these systems is that the user would need to fill in their user profile every time they need to book a service. And then the user would need to pay. This is for the Service Hero. The user would need to pay in advance for the service. And then the users can book, but with using the Service Hero, the users can book for a one-off or a subscription-based services. They can also ask for the service quotation beforehand, which is good. And then the professional workers, they need to work under Service Hero, not as a standalone vendor or company. And going on to the Kaudim, Kaudim lists their services in categorical manner, which helps the users. Users can browse through the directory of vendors, which they can choose which vendor they want, because some vendor provides the same services, so maybe they have their own preferences. And then the users can chat with the vendors, and then the payment transaction are after the service has been executed. Unlike the Service Hero, service provider can work as a vendor under their own business. And then moving on to the methodology. The methodology that I have chosen is the Agile methodology, mostly due to its versatility because of its iterative and incremental approach. It has the flexibility in development, so quality can be assured. Improvement is continuous over a period of time because it doesn't stop the development. It doesn't stop on just one time. And then the sprint implementation allow the development to be consistent and on time. By using agile methodology, there are less risk of failure as it can be improved over time through sprint. And then the next is the phases of sprint in agile. So the first phase is planning, which we brainstorm. It is a brainstorming period where all of the components and functionalities of Service2U systems will be discussed and listed. Set which feature to develop in the first sprint, the most important, then the least important component, which means in each sprint we prioritize which components to be developed first, from the most important, and then the least important. And then in this phase, it allows the next phase to only focus on the phase. And then the second phase is the development, which the development will start. And then in the development phase, they would only develop the components meant for the sprint and not from other sprint. So for Service2U, it is beneficial, so we can focus on each sprint. And then the third phase is the testing phase, which is the developed features of the Service2U system will be tested, and then it will be tested thoroughly, and then evaluated. The performance and issues will be evaluated and noted to fix before delivering to the users. And then the fourth phases is the delivery, which the developed and tested components of the Service2U system will be delivered to the users or early testers. It does not have to be the actual users there, because it does need public exposure of to the system. So maybe it will be introduced to the beta testers, something like that, and then we will take feedback from them, and then the Service2U can be improved in the future with the users' feedback on each sprint. And then the last phase is the assessment phase, which the components created in sprint of the Service2U system will be assessed. We're discussing the improvement of the Service2U based on the feedback gathered from all parties involved. And so with that, the Service2U will continue to improve over time. And then this is all the list of the technology used. So the first one is Flutter. The Flutter, it is a framework used to develop the Service2U mobile application. And then the Dart. Dart is the language used in Flutter to develop the Service2U mobile application. And in Laravel, we use as a website framework to be used in developing the website for Service2U administration web portal. HTML is obviously the language for developing a website, specifically for the Service2U administration web portal. Bootstrap is the CSS framework to be used in designing the aesthetic portion of the Service2U website. And then Figma is a wireframing tool used to design the wireframe of the system, of the Service2U system. And then MySQL is the database to store all the data of Service2U system. And then we will use the Google Maps API, which the API used to implement GPS tracking in mobile application, so that in Service2U we can use the user's application to pinpoint their location and suggest services just in their area. And then with BillPiece API, the API will be used as a payment gateway for the Service2U system. And then we go on to the requirement analysis, which is the first one is our use case diagram for Service2U. So in here we can see in the diagram there are three actors, which is the client, administrator, and service provider. Some of the clients share the same role and some of them not, and there are some roles that are only specific for one actor. So we start with act client. So the client can search for service, book for service, pay for the book service, register for an account, log in into account, and then view booking summary. And then moving on to the service provider, they can register for an account, and they can log in into the account and view booking summary, add services, manage booking, clients booking, manage services offered, and then we go to administrator, where they can register for an account, log in into account, manage client and service provider account registration, and then manage service application. And then this is the sequence diagram, and we start with the sequence diagram where all the actors can use the components. So this is the first one is the registration sequence diagram, and then the second one is the login sequence diagram, and then we move on to, this is only the client sequence diagram. This is the client can search, so this is the search service sequence diagram, and then they can also book the service, so this is the service booking sequence diagram. And moving on, this is the last one for the client sequence diagram, where they can pay for the booking, so this is the sequence diagram. And then this is the service provider sequence diagram, where they can add services, and then there is the manage booking sequence services, manage booking sequence diagram. And then lastly, the service provider can manage the service, so this is this manage service sequence diagram. We go to the administrator. So the administrator can manage the registration, so this is the sequence diagram. And then the administrator can manage the approval of the services registered that is requested by the service provider, and this is the sequence diagram. And lastly, this is the client and service provider sharing a sequence diagram, which they can view bookings, their bookings. And then we proceed to the client flow charts. So this is the overall flow chart for the client. They will register to the Service2U, and if it's successful, they will log in into the Service2U, and if it's successful, they can search and then book for a service and then pay for the service, and then they can view the booking summary. And then moving on to the service provider, they will same as the client, they will register, and then they will log in, and then they will go to the main page where they can add the service. If it's improved, they can manage the service, and then they can manage the booking, and then if they accept the booking, they can still view the booking, or they can view the booking summary. And then we go to the administrator flowchart diagram. So same, they can register and then log in into the Service2U, but the difference here is administration. They register and log in into the administration web portal. And so after logging, they will greeted with the administration dashboard, where they can manage the service, registration, or exit. And then we proceed with the system architecture design. So we can see here that the users are client and service provider, and this is the administrator. The client and service provider will only use the mobile application, while the administrator will use the administration web portal. Both of these systems will be developed using Flutter, Dart, and Laravel, and using Bootstrap. So, and will be hosted in the cloud using Cloudflare, and the database will be using MySQL, and then the payment gateway is the Billpiece. And this is the entity relationship diagram, where we can see the relationship between all the entity and their attributes. And moving on, and this is we go to the user interface design, and this is the registration and login user interface. And then we have the service search. We have the service and search page user interface. And we continue. We have the booking page user interface, and then we have the payment page user interface, and then we have the booking summary user interface. And then this is for the service provider, where they can add service user interface. This is the add service user interface, and then they have the service list user interface, and then they can manage the service interface. And then here is the admin main page for the administrator. So we have come to the conclusion of my presentation, and what I can say is, in conclusion, I really hope that the Service2U system and application, they would be able to help both homeowner and professional service provider to solve each other problem of when such as the homeowner of not being able to fix their household issue, and then the professional service provider, they can find a job in the service industry through my Service2U application. And that is it for my presentation. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.